Worked in the mattress industry for a bit at a startup. Basically 90% bullcrap. What industry is a lot shadier than it seems? All industries are shadier than they seem. I used to work for a flute manufacturer and it was shady as hell. Avocado farms. Most of the farms in Central America are taken over by the cartel because of how much money is in selling avocados. Seriously, the funeral business preys on people's weakest moments to convince them to buy ridiculously unnecessary stuff. Dietary supplements. It's gotten better, but there's still a lot of half-truths and whole lies. Not all that long ago it was seriously like the wild, wild west. As a chef owner, I would say delivery services like Grubhub. They take 30% of the sale, leaving the restaurant with basically $0 in profit. And their customer support is a joke. It's like they hate us. Screw them. Never again. Domain names. There's so much shady stuff that goes on when it comes to domain names: cyber squatting, sketchy registrars, domain hijacking, scams, predatory pricing, etc. Then there's the whole ican.org fiasco that's been in the news recently. Pet industry. Basement puppy mills and dogs that are so inbred they can hardly breathe. There are plenty of ethical breeders out there, and some unlicensed breeders are ethical even if in a legal gray zone, but the conditions of some of the so-called puppy mills can be really bad. Sometimes when breeds are mixed and the pup gets the recessive genes the breeders weren't looking for, they straight up euthanize it because they know it won't sell. Not to mention how many purebreds are actually not pure at all, and sold as is shady. More people died last year over vanilla in Madagascar than cocaine in South America. They've even coined the term vanilla murder. Farmers hire armed mercenaries to guard their crops from thieves near harvest time, and if one is caught, well, let's just say it's in response to all the farmers that were killed by thieves for the same reason. There's a great deal of information about it floating around, along with some pretty disturbing accounts. Not an industry, but higher academia is badly broken. Some of the smartest people are some of the most badly exploited. Old tenured professors limit the number of faculty many departments can have, forcing people to work as postdocs forever, effectively doing all the work the professor should be doing in the first place. Meager pay and long hours, plus constant pressure makes postdocs some of the most depressed people. The grad students are no better either. A lot of the time grad students don't complain about ill treatment, harassment and outright bullying as they don't want to jeopardize the prospects of graduating. If you're a foreigner, this situation becomes even worse, whether you're a grad student or a postdoctoral researcher. The maritime industry. Most of the big companies do things by the book and treat crews well because they're afraid of lawsuits and unions, but many smaller, mom-and-pop, companies break laws and violate safety regulations with reckless abandon because they're not as visible and can stay under the radar, so to speak. It's very common for a small company to ask a captain, crew to do something illegal and dangerous in order to increase profit, and for the captain, crew to comply out of fear of losing their jobs. And that's just the US maritime industry. Sailors from poorer nations who work on ships are often fed little more than rice and cheap ramen for months at a time and paid pennies for their backbreaking work. I love running tugs for a living, but the industry as a whole is rife with shady business. Trucking. The margins are razor thin and so everyone is trying to nickel and dime each other constantly. The drivers lie to the dispatchers lie to the brokers lie to the clients. All of this for like $50 to $100 sometimes. This will probably get buried, but glitter. A manager of one of the biggest glitter manufacturers, Glitter X, said in a 2018 interview that most of the glitter they make goes to one buyer for a single industrial use. When asked who the buyer was and why they need so much glitter, she said, "Oh, I definitely can't disclose that." When asked why, she said, "Because they don't want anybody to know it's glitter." Ever since this interview, people have been trying to guess what company or industry secretly uses most of the world's glitter and why they want to keep that use under wraps. Sunglass industry. Honey business, but, yes, it's true. I'll use Oakley as an example because it's literally close to home. Oakley has not been the same since they were bought out. Oakley was a great company to work for with great bonuses, swag, and extremely high company morale. Their HQ is one of the coolest buildings you could find, and the people were always happy to work for a legendary company that really treated their employees right. Oakley knew their customers well, but at the end of the day, it's still a business. And Luxottica wanted that business. Luxottica bought them out in the end, but not through Oakley's own will. You see, Luxottica owns nearly all the major glasses brands and the stores that carry them. They are one step short of a full monopoly of the entire global eyewear industry. Luxottica wanted Oakley, so they took Oakley off all the shelves of every major glasses retailer until Oakley could do nothing but give in. Squeezed dry until they had to be bought at a nicer price for Luxottica. Recruitment industry. Here are some examples. Fake jobs to lure candidates for registration KPIs. Trainee negotiation tactics of telling a candidate there is a better candidate who wants less, so we recommend less for you to get the job. Especially for contractors. Coveting off pitching and telling a candidate they have been sent to a line manager but in reality they haven't been submitted, because 2 others from the same recruiter have already been in interviews. If they fail, you may get a chance. A lot of coded ways to put on a database info on your age, non-professional related appearance, and ethnicity. Ageism, sexism, racism is rampant in hiring. A lot more dodgy stuff behind the scenes. Source was involved with the industry on a global level for over 15 years before I changed careers. Health insurance. In the commercials it is all about caring for your health and stuff. But if you ever get a serious illness, they will do anything to avoid paying for your treatment. Source: my mother got breast cancer and her health insurance made a business decision to let her die rather than pay the $40,000 for her treatment. They made that decision, then hired lawyers to make it happen. My mom got to fight them in court while going through chemo. She made it by mortgaging the house. She told me the insurance company caused her more stress than the prospect of dying. CBD, lot of predatory companies making subpar products with questionable raw materials and then marking it way up and selling it as a miracle cure to vulnerable and ill-educated consumers. Usually have a high-power legal team on deck, but pay their workers nothing and no benefits. Edit, because so many people are asking, while I used to be in sales in the industry and have my own opinions about who's good out there, it's a woefully short list. You'll probably have your best luck checking out the top recommendations at CBD. They have a whole pinned post about the best companies that they've, hopefully, vetted well. A lot of hobby fish importing is pretty shady. You have farms of certain types of fish like betters in some areas of the world that are run with the fish in horrible conditions. Which is why a lot of the ones you get in a major chain store are sick before you even bring them home. The stores will blame the fish being stressed, but I've ordered and received hundreds of fish from small breeders, sellers and outside of Cory catfish that really enjoy committing suiciding by poisoning their own water. The fish arrive healthy and fine. Outside of boutique fish farming, the way some wild fish are caught is just horrible. The trappers will lightly poison the water supply to knock out the fish, then scoop them out of the water without a care for that area's ecosystem. This has led to depletion of some natural species to the point they are now endangered. Lastly, boutique fish sellers, major chains do not give half a rat's ass what happens to the fish in the end. This means that people who buy fish like plecos, betters, goldfish, etc. end up getting sick of them and dumping them in local waterways to supposedly get rid of the problem. So in some areas, these fish have completely destroyed the local water ecology because, like other invasive land species, they were never meant to be there. One of the worst offenders is the lionfish in Florida. It's venomous and has no natural predators, so its population has exploded out of control. The same is true of plecos and goldfish. Basically, releasing fish into the wild is a terrible idea. Releasing any animal into the wild can have disastrous consequences, but fish are being released into a very limited ecosystem and outside of a few diseases. If they can adapt to the water and have no predators, they will survive and breed incredibly quickly. I love my fish, I love the hobby, and there's a lot of value to it as global warming may make things like reef tanks a valuable source of coral in the future. But there's also a lot of bad to it. Mattress industry. Specifically, Mattress Firm. Worked in the mattress industry for a bit at a startup. Basically 90% bullcrap. And the worst part? We had a real doctor serve an advisory role for our products. He debunked a lot of nonsense claims about mattresses like, your pillow is 50% of your spinal support, that the salespeople use to sell you accessories. The salespeople would argue with him, like they knew better. Kool-Aid is strong there. Some of my favorites I learned are, these hip direct-to-door in-a-box foam bed companies like Tuft and Needle use the same material, from the same manufacturer. There's hundreds of them, just put them in different boxes and sell at wildly different prices. Side sleeper, back sleeper, and stomach sleeper are baloney. You toss and turn at night on purpose, to help prevent blood clots. No mattress will keep you from tossing and turning, for the reason above. It's a natural thing you're supposed to do. More layers doesn't mean better mattress. A lot of companies add in cheap materials like upholstery foam to just claim there's more layers. Maybe one layer of nice springs, then just 10 layers of various types of cheap foam to get the layers higher. One that actually is true is heat. If you frequently are hot at night, a foam mattress is not good for you. It's an insulator and will trap your heat on your body. In general, air and spring are better beds because of heat. Your body needs to dump temperature at night to get into a full, deep sleep. If it's too hot, you won't sleep well.
Like and subscribe for more funny, interesting, and scary r/ask Reddit videos.